Hi guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel out. This week I'm talking about episode 9, Crisis Point of Star Trek Lower Decks. Our second last episode of the season, only one episode to go. It seems like it's flown. We've had some good episodes, some okay episodes, and I think this was a good episode. Very much an epic scale episode in the style of something like the original cast feature films back in the 80s with, say, Search for Spock, Voyage Home. We had big epic set pieces. We had lens flares galore. It was the holodeck epic movie episode of the season. So let's take a look at Crisis Point. So this episode plays into more of the mother-daughter tension that's been playing out with Freeman and Mariner right from the start of the season. This time on a much more epic scale. The episode starts off with Mariner on a planet that exists with lizards and rats, and the rats have been eating the lizards, and she's kind of freeing the lizards from their slavery from the rats, and Freeman and away team beam down to basically say that Starfleet's got no business in how this particular planet runs its affairs, and Mariner's just trying to help these guys out, sort of thing. And there's obviously a clash between mother and daughter again, and this time Freeman sends Mariner to therapy, which she does not want to go to at all. And to blow off a bit of steam from having to go and see the counsellor, Mariner is in the holodeck with Tendi and Rutherford, and they're ski shooting with Leonardo da Vinci. A lot of you would remember that Leonardo da Vinci was a regular character and I think some of the later seasons of Voyager, where Janeway would often meet up with Da Vinci in his lab and have all these discussions with Da Vinci on the holodeck on Voyager. So the reappearance of Da Vinci in this episode is a nice little homage to those Voyager appearances we saw with him. But Boimler wants to take over the holodeck because he's got an interview with Freeman, and he's programmed a special holodeck program with all of the crew and their responses and all of their logs and accurate representations of the crew. So he wants to have a bit of a practice interview with holographic Freeman before he does the real thing, just to brush up on a few interview techniques and what things he might say. So as Boimler has put together this holodeck program that is so detailed, Mariner finds another use for it, thinking it's way too good to be put to waste on what Boimler's doing with it. She's going to put together a huge epic holo novel movie thing out of Boimler's program called Crisis Point: The Rise of Vindicta, which is a very epic scale kind of holodeck program. Right from the get-go, from the music score that comes up with this new holodeck program, it sounds very similar to the theatrical score for either Star Trek 2 or 3, I'm not sure which one. It's very James Horner kind of, I think it's James Horner. It's right on the money. During the opening credits of Mariner's epic holo movie that she's reprogrammed, she says to Boimler that he's probably not going to get a part in it. He's kind of a bit of a Zon. He's going to end up on the cutting room floor. And this reference of Zon is from the abandoned Star Trek Phase 2 series that was kind of meant to go ahead in the 70s but kind of got ditched. This character of Zon, I think, was meant to be in Star Trek The Motion Picture but ended up on the cutting room floor, or Leonard Nimoy was meant to be out of it, but they were going to get this other guy in instead because Leonard Nimoy wasn't going to reprise his role. And anyway, this character of Zon that was meant to be in Star Trek Phase 2 or Star Trek The Motion Picture didn't end up being in it and ended up being cut out. So this reference that Mariner talks about, Zon being cut out of the film, is a reference to this guy. And what would an epic Star Trek movie be without thousands of lens flares? We've got these glory shots of the Cerritos majestically docked in the starbase, sweeping angles with lens flares galore. It's very J.J. Abrams. So in a storyline that's sort of almost cut kind of out of Star Trek 2, with Mariner being a very over-the-top, moustache-twirling villain, a bit like Khan. Mariner, Tendi and Rutherford take over the villainous marauder roles as they take over the Cerritos crew. So while Mariner, Tendi and Rutherford are kind of hamming it up in the villainous roles in this epic movie holodeck program, Boimler's still trying to get some intel about his job interview, so he's asking Ransom what kind of cookies Freeman would like. He's kind of manoeuvring himself around Mariner's program and still trying to find out interview tips for his job interview later that day. So even though Mariner has programmed this holodeck program so that she can kind of act out her evil fantasies about her mother, Rutherford uses it for the opposite means, which is to tell Lieutenant Commander Billups, the chief engineer, how much of a wonderful engineer he is and how much he's a great chief engineer and how good he is. And it's all very hero worshipy and everything. I love the line from Shax here in the bar with the gigantic phaser cannon saying, if I send you to hell or whatever, tell the par wraiths I sent you straight to Bajor, or it's like, yeah, it's a nice little DS9 reference there with the par wraiths and him and his giant little say hello to my little friend moment from Scarface. It's cute. Meanwhile, Tendy's a little bit worried about Mariner's mental state. She's very violent, like blowing up Shax. His blood and guts spray all over the place. Pieces of his ear and his earring are stuck on Tendy's head, and she's sort of a bit concerned that she's getting a bit too full on with this program. And Tendy's not far off the money because Mariner goes to the bridge where she confronts her mum and detonates some explosive which throws the ship into some massive free fall in a Star Trek Generations-like ship crash land on the planet's surface, saucer section rolling and bits of the hull breaking off. It's a huge epic sequence, and it sort of very much reminds me as a homage to the saucer crash land sequence in Star Trek Generations. And just as Mariner is about to spear her mum with a giant piece of broken piping on board the damaged ship, it looks like Boimler has programmed an alternate Mariner into the program to take out the crazy maraudering Mariner who's just gone over the top. And she gives the classic line from Aliens, as delivered by Sigourney Weaver back in that film, "Get away from her, you bitch." Back with Rutherford and Billups, they have a little somewhat romantic moment comparing warp cores and how they just want to run away and fix warp cores and get on a starship together. And it's very tech nerdy, I guess, in a sort of semi-romantic kind of way. And as Dr. Ntana kind of wishes them on their bleeping way, in a very politically incorrect way, I guess you would say. So in the end, with Mariner beating up on herself in the wreckage of the Cerritos, she kind of works out that she does want to be there, and she knows her mum's just looking out for her and trying to do the right thing by her and everything, and kind of the therapy that she's put herself through, albeit extreme and somewhat epic, has managed to work, and she now kind of knows that she's happy to be on the Cerritos. And as Boimler's doing his last bit of interview research in the holodeck program, he inadvertently finds out that Mariner is the daughter of Captain Freeman, and he's freaking out. Obviously, that was a secret that they wanted to keep secret. It wasn't kind of meant to get out. The program was maybe only meant for Mariner, and Boimler's found out this piece of information and he is beside himself. So Boimler's interview doesn't go so well. All he can think about is that Mariner is Freeman's daughter, and he's just completely tripping out on this piece of information and just can't string two words together, tripping over himself. He's not conducting himself like he would have hoped in this job interview. And in a nice little homage to the end of Star Trek II, we have the photon torpedo tube with evil Mariner inside it, like on the Genesis planet with Spock, and she rises from the capsule only to be shot by holodeck Da Vinci, who says, "Not today, not on his watch." So nice little homage ending there to Star Trek II, and again with the return of Da Vinci from Voyager. And then as the end credits roll, we get the signatures, much like the end of Star Trek VI Undiscovered Country, where all of the original Star Trek cast sign their names in the end credits. We get the same kind of thing going on here for the Lower Decks cast. So the nice little homages here to the various different original series cast movies. So all in all, I thought this was a good episode. I thought it was a nice homage to the Star Trek feature films, most notably kind of 2, 3, and sort of 6, I guess you'd say. But definitely musically, visually, in terms of the lens flares, like the J.J. Abrams films. We had homages to Star Trek Generations, and it was kind of like pick moments out of the various different Star Trek feature films and kind of mush them all up into one big holodeck program. So it was kind of a bit of an epic scale episode, this one, and I thought it was good. Not hugely funny. There was a couple of little lines I thought were kind of funny. Like, I think there was a line where Shax, the holodeck Shax or whatever, was talking to Rutherford about being pissed off, and Rutherford said, oh, we just had this conversation half an hour ago. It's so accurate. You know, I thought that was good. Overall, not hugely funny, but very epic episode, this one. Very cinematic. I thought it was good. And also I've got coming up in about a week's time, very special live stream event. I haven't done a live stream for quite a while, not since sort of Star Trek Picard ended back in kind of April, but getting back into the live streams again now. Special event live stream, myself and Ketwolski, the other Star Trek Nick YouTuber, apart from myself, are teaming up for a live stream together, doing our kind of a wrap-up, an overview of Season 1 of Lower Decks, and looking ahead to Discovery Season 3 and some other Star Trek stuff. There'll be all sorts of interesting stuff in there. So make sure you set a reminder for that one. It'll be one not to miss. As always, guys, please do all the usual things like subscribe, share, comment, Check out my merchandise. T-shirts like this one, Star Trek themed T-shirts. Check them out in my merchandise store. All different designs, really cool. And I'll see you soon for my next review.